look here, folks. This is, so it was 10 years ago, before the last cycle, I told you it was Lefferts Boulevard. Many of you came out and testified, including myself. You said, Richmond Hill, it's unacceptable. You divided us in half. Well, look what happened. They moved it more west. So we have more of our community was in District 28. More of us were in 28. So that was an improvement. But we know we couldn't win a primary, right? Because look, the rest of the district, you have Rochdale Village and the rest of the community on the east side of the Banquet. So our community still cannot elect somebody. So now what they do, they divided us on Liberty Avenue. Can you go back to that PDF? So it's the city council one. We're divided in half. The city charter has really strong language for us. It says there's a prioritized list that the districting commission was supposed to follow, right? And they didn't follow that. The first criteria is equal population. They had to follow that. You know what the second criteria is? Fair and effective representation for racial and language minorities protected under the Federal Voting Rights Act. Who are the racial and language minorities protected under the Federal Voting Rights Act? The Black community, Latino, Asian, and Native American. We are the ones protected by the Federal Voting Rights Act. They had to give us fair and effective representation to the maximum extent practicable before they did anything else. Is this fair and effective representation to the maximum extent practicable? No, right? So we never brought a lawsuit under the charter. Well, guess what? ALDEF, we are trying to file a lawsuit now before petitioning starts. We're up against the clock. Petitioning starts at the end of the month. We are working Ronek's been working really hard with me, as well as some of our other colleagues, to get this lawsuit filed. Okay? We need plaintiffs. We can't file as ALDEF. We need people from this community that are willing to be a named plaintiff to say, this is not right. You didn't follow the charter. I want to fight for my community. Right? So I want to thank Albert. Albert's been sending a few people to us that have agreed to be named plaintiffs. We have retainers with us tonight. I'm here to answer any questions that you have about this lawsuit. For those people that are willing and thinking about being a named plaintiff, we need you to be a U.S. citizen, a registered voter, and someone that lives in the proposed district that we proposed in the Unity map in our proposed District 32. Okay, and that's, if you live in Richmond Hill in South Ozone Park or Ozone Park, you probably are within our district, our proposed district. So I said, I can't bring it as ALDEF. Legally, I need people that live in this proposed district. That's all of you. And we need folks now, right, within the next week. So if you're interested, Ronek has retainers tonight that you can sign. If you want to think about it, you can take it home. But one of the things I wanted to bring to your attention is this fight is not over, right? We've been fighting for decades. We've gotten some success, right, over the years. But this is unacceptable. This is taking us backwards. And what they did here, they prioritized District 32, Howard Beach, Broad Channel, Breezy Point. You all know those neighborhoods, right? They prioritized those neighborhoods over all of you. And that is a violation of the city charter. Okay, nobody's took them to task yet and filed a lawsuit, but we're going to do it this time. We're not going to take it this time, right? So I need you, if you're interested, please just raise your hand or see me or Ronek. We'll be happy to sign you up or answer any questions that you have. But this is how we fight back. We can't, it's nice we're all meeting, and Mohammed's talking about how much we've been meeting. Right? But we need results, right? We get results through advocacy by you guys testifying, and all of us testifying, but we also get results through lawsuits. And we can't do the lawsuits without clients and plaintiffs like yourselves. So please think about it. We also will have organizational plaintiffs, right? So if you're an organization it's a membership organization, and you have members that live in Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park, and Ozone Park, you can serve as an organizational plaintiff. So please consider that. Many of the individuals, they feel more comfortable when we have organizations along with them as plaintiffs. So please consider that. I don't know if Dave will take any questions or okay. So if you have any questions, please see me or Ronek. We're happy to answer any questions. And thank you. I really hope you all testify. We'll see you at the hearings. Make your voices heard. Don't take this sitting down. We deserve representation just like everybody else, and we're going to fight for it. I hope you all join us in the fight. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, give me one second.
While Mohammed is setting up, I just want to give a shout out to the ethnic media we have in the house, Hiram Kenneth Ramprasad, who is here, who, without ethnic media, we cannot reach the masses. Yay. And so I know Kenneth has a large following, and I just wanted to shout you out for being here and covering this event, as well as other media that are here too, because we'll be able to reach that much more people as a result.
Thank you. We also have New Amsterdam News here that's covering the event tonight as well. So thank you for being here. So we've shared a lot of information tonight so far. This information, we want to make it as digestible as possible. Because in order for you to testify, we want you to understand what's at stake. And here is a quick lightning breakdown of where we are right now. Currently, Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park are divided among 4 different assembly districts. We have 23, we have 24, we have 8031 and 8038. These are our 4 assembly members. Many of you may have engaged with them over the years. Many of you may work with them, support them, which is great because we need them to support our work. But now the fight continues for us to get one single district. Next slide. So what we're supporting, as Jerry mentioned, we are supporting the IRC 2022 Assembly Draft Map. Look how beautiful that map is. That is what we have been fighting for over 3 decades. And you also have a copy of this map. For those of you that are going to be testifying, we'll be taking your names. We want you to submit this map with your testimony. If we submit one map, it keeps us united. It keeps our voice together, and that's important as well in this fight. Next, please. So this is just an overlay to see how the districts are divided. The 4 districts, and then the 1 purple line of the new 8024. Next time. So again, we're advocating in support of the IRC 2022 Assembly Draft Map for Richmond Hill. And if anybody that wants a digital copy of this, we can send it to you. Just reach out to me, reach out to Aminta. We can also send you a copy of this map as well. Next, please. And now I'm going to invite Aminta back. We're going to get into the good stuff, all of the exciting stuff, how to testify.
It's all good stuff.
And I think, can we put the lights back on? Because I think people get a little comfortable and they might be getting a little bit sleepy. So can we put the lights back on? This way everyone is, awake and alert. So, I want to say this. Testifying is the most important reason why we gathered you here today. And I know our community, we love to come out for, cultural programs. We love our music. We love our dance. We love our faith. All of the things that make us a community. But I am so proud right now to look around and to see how many of you are sitting here listening attentively to this. So can you give yourselves a round of applause for doing that? Because this is history that we're making in our community, and we've got to look around and remember that the people that are in this room that are committed to this issue, because we're changing the landscape of our community. We stand on the shoulders of so many of our elders who have been working for decades to do this work, and we're finally, over the course of this many decades, seeing a shift. And that's because of the commitment of each and every one of you. So thank you for bearing with us and for sitting through this, because it's very, very important. And I also want to shout out somebody else who brought in food. I know Harpreet Singh Tour brought in the chai and the
so good.
This hit the spot. It like makes the difference. I think it's possibly why people are still here. No, I'm just kidding. And the chai is from Drum, from Daisy's Rising Up and Moving. So thank you for that. And now I'm going to turn it over to an amazing leader in our community who has been South Queens Women's March's champion as it pertains to civic engagement at large, none other than Anjali Sigobin.
Thank you, Minta. Hi, everyone. Just a mood check. How we feeling? So we actually have an upcoming testimony opportunity at your college on Thursday, February 16th at 4 p.m. So your college is located on Jamaica, Guy Brewer Boulevard, if we all know where that is. Really important to know if you want to sign up to testify that you have to do this by February 15th by 4 p.m. So I know we're all going to go on our laptops, all going to sign up to testify February 15th before 4 p.m. Really important, before we also go to testify, we have to have a proof of vaccination and a negative COVID test within 7 days before. Also really important to note is that for our testimonies, they are limited to 3 minutes. And then now we can go on to the next slide. So for a sample testimony, I'm just going to use myself as an example. So I'll say, hi, my name is Anjali. I have lived at Richmond Hill for 23 years. I am 23 years old. My occupation is South Queen Women's March Civic Engagement Coordinator. And then I can say, I support the Independent Redistricting Commission's draft map for Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park because, and then I'll give an example. An example I'll use is that I want us to be kept together because if we're not, it'll dilute our collective voting power, and then we won't be able to elect representatives that accurately represent us. And then we can say that now that we are together, we can advocate for resources and actually hold elected officials accountable. And then at the end of our testimony, we can say, thank you for giving me an opportunity to be heard. I know sometimes testifying can feel a little daunting, a little intimidating, but fear not, you have community members here for you. You have organizations right here in this room that will help motivate you, that will help encourage you to write these testimonies and really get out there and drive the change that we want for our community. And with that, I'm going to pass this back to Minta for our discussion.
All right, everybody, let's give Anjali a round of applause. Woo. So, how many people are actually going to have either signed up to testify or are planning to sign up to testify on February 16th? All right, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it? 10? I think we got like, oh, all right. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I counted you already, all right? Thanks for voting twice. So that's great. I'm hoping that we can get to 30 people because the goal, and this is something we've been doing with the IRC, the goal is to have them hear about Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park so much that their ears hurt, right? Like, they gotta keep hearing about why we need to be kept whole. If they keep hearing us say the same things over and over, they're gonna hear our voices and it's gonna stick out and they're going to remember to hold themselves accountable when they decide to put forward that final map. So that's critical. And, you know, I think we're in a really, I just also want to shout out the fact that this is a very beautiful space. I know I've said that again, but one thing we've got to remember is we've got to stay united as a community. Our issues are the same issues, whether we're Guyanese, Trinidadian, Bengali, Punjabi, our issues are the same. So we've got to stick together as we continue to fight for our community, and we've got to make sure we keep ourselves whole. We're seeing emergence of leaders in our community in ways that we've never seen before. Organizations rising up in our community in a formal way. I want to shout out Sherry Alvarado, who is the first Indo-Caribbean woman to chair Community Board 9. That's a big deal, right? We are rising. We're on the rise as a community. So I think it's important to note that as we move forward and talk about why this matters. And with that, we did promise that we're going to have a discussion at the end of this forum. And so that is all what we're going to do right now. Mohammed and I are going to facilitate that.
And to start our discussion, I want to invite Jaga to talk a little bit about the hillside corridor. Jerry mentioned it earlier, but that community is also being divided, and Jaga is going to talk a little bit about that because those members are also here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm back. Real quickly, I also forgot to mention that the passion I had up here, I forgot to mention my organization, Drum. I work with Drum as we have a lot of members from Drum here as well. We were founded about a little over 20 years ago to work with the organizing South Asian and Indo-Caribbean working class communities around issues of immigration, housing, and so on. We recently opened up an office here in Richmond Hill over on 120th Street. Come check us out. I really quickly want to mention that we have a neighboring district. Currently, we are attached to that district, which is the Hillside Corridor along Hillside Avenue I'm sure many of you have been there, seen the many Bangladeshi restaurants and stores, and it goes all the way down to Glen Oaks, where there's a lot of Indo-Caribbean and Indian stores and boutiques and so on and so forth. We're also asking to keep that district whole. We have submitted it to the Redistricting Commission within APA Voices Maps. We are asking for them to keep the Hillside Corridor, Glen Oaks, and Queens Village together in one district that will also be a South Asian Indo-Caribbean district. If you are from that area, specifically the Hillside Corridor, and want to testify about it, you can come find us. You can come find organizers at South Queens Women March and the CEP, and we can tell you a little bit about how to shift the testimony to advocate on behalf of that district if you're from that area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trevor. So we're gonna get into our community discussion, but before we do, we want to have an account of how many people are gonna testify. It is critical for us to have a way of contacting you just to follow up. Albert, would you mind having a seat? Just give us a second. We want to finish this part. Thank you so much. Isabella, would you mind grabbing the clipboard and a piece of paper to write names down for us, please? Okay, raise your hand again if you're gonna testify. And do we have another paper?
Does any of the volunteers from South Queens Women's March also want to help with gathering names?
So Isabella, could you just raise your hand? Just go around to folks that are going to be testifying to check their names off that we have on the list. Because we're going to follow up, y'all. We want to make sure that each one of you that said you're going to testify, that you testify. And we also want to give a moment for community members to really have a say in what this district looks like. And we know we shared a lot, and we want to have an opportunity to ask questions as well. So we want to start with that. How many of you have questions about this process that seems a little bit confusing that you want us to answer before we continue? Just raise your hand if you have a question. No? We did such a good job, Minta. I think we did too. Okay, so just raise your hand again if you're going to be testifying so we can record your names. And if you don't mind, just go meet Nalima, raise your hand over here so we can get those names together.
And can I just say something about testifying? So it's not as the word testifying, it sounds so scary. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go testify, right? It's not that serious. I promise you, it's not. It's literally, you can write down your testimony and you can read it off the paper if you want to. It takes 3 minutes. You don't even have to look at the commissioners if you don't want to. It's what's coming from your heart that matters most. And even if you're nervous to speak in public, we're happy to coach you. We're even happy to help you write your remarks for you. Because this is so important, we want to make sure we're all on the same page as a community. We're putting forth the same message, again, because repetition is important. If we keep chanting the same tune to the commissioners, they're going to give us what we rightfully deserve, but we've got to be on the same page about that. So it's not scary at all to testify. You can even also submit written testimony as well. If you don't feel like giving a speech, you don't want to actually physically be there. It's a working day. Some folks might not be able to go. It's still important to submit your testimony written. And where you're sitting, there is a paper. It looks like this. And this provides all of the instructions as to how you go about testifying. So you can read this paper, go online, sign up. If you're not able to sign up, if you don't have internet or the ability to do so, we are happy to help you to sign up as well. So feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, and take this home with you, right? We work so hard in making sure that all of you are informed on this process. Please take this home with you, look it over. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We want you all to know that we're accessible. We're here to support you, and we can win. We can win this redistricting fight together. We can finally get a district that keeps us together. But all of you have a role in that, and we want to support you throughout this process. It is not difficult. It is easy, and all you have to do is show up to testify.
All right, shall we now move on to our community discussion? All right, let's do it. So we've got a couple questions for you all because we want to hear from you. You all are here You all are the experts of our community because you live here, you work here, you go to school here. I can name all the ways in which you're integrated into this community. And so we want to hear from you. We've got some pre-prepared questions behind the screen here. Should I ask the first one? All right. So the first question, and anyone can feel free to chime in here. And let's be respectful of each other's time, right? So I know you're gonna say, well, you all are respectful of our time, but anyway. So why do you care about redistricting? We just spoke for a good hour and a half about redistricting. Why do you care as a community about redistricting? And we'll try to walk around to the furthest this mic can reach for anybody who wants to answer the question. Sure.
Thank you very much. As you know, I'm a district leader here. I've been involved in this process for over 30 years. So I guess I am qualified to get a couple of minutes here to speak. Now, to answer that question, redistricting goes to the heart and soul of everything you do in this community. Whether it's schooling, as I said, and capably said about that. What we have going on is for the past 30 years, we have been testifying, we've been fighting. It was first 7. Then it became 4. And this is the 4 here, as you can see. Divided by Weprin, Rajkumar, Fefa, and also Anderson. So you have a district divided in 4. And this 4 demarcated us so much that it diluted our power and we didn't get any meaningful representation. And then we went there again and testified with the help of these great folks here. And it's the same map I have here. So what I plan to do is to make 40 of these maps and take it. So even if you don't testify, at least if you show up and you just submit the map, that is very active testifying. If you can say, "I want this map," commissioners, that's enough testimony. You don't have to be articulate, you don't have to be anything else. You just have to say, "I want this. This is what we're entitled to. Give us this," because we pay taxes. We've been fighting, we don't even get food in our pantries, as Sherry will tell you. We don't get any resources here. And we want to have this map because that is how it will be heard. That is how it will be counted. Start off with this. Now, one last thing before I go. The Republicans and the Democrats agree on one thing, and that is this map. Do you see how fertile this ground is to make this point? Both sides agreed, even though as Aminta and Mohammed Q said, they didn't agree on anything else, and they kicked all the maps. They did agree that Richmond, Ozone Park, and South Ozone Park must be kept whole. So we are coming from a position of strength. You're coming from a position of history. This is a monumental time. This is the time, brother, that we must make this happen. If we don't, we'll never get this. This is the time. And when I saw only 5 people said they're going to testify, I was very emotionally upset. You know why? Because all of you should go, even if you don't testify. All of you, including my good friend who's a Republican, Roussac. If Roussac goes and testify also with Republicans and Democrats, this is a joint effort. We'll be able to show that even Republicans and Democrats want this map. Even Japli testified for the first time. That would be good, Japli, that you go and say, "We want this map for the first time. I'm now getting my fingers wet, or my feet wet." So brothers and sisters, let's go out and make this happen. Don't let history come and pass us by. And let's make sure we get this map.
Thank you so much, Albert. Thank you so much. To summarize, we provided you all with a map. You have a map in front of you that you can take with you. We've provided instructions. You cannot just show up and say you want a map. You have to register to do so. You have to be counted, right? And in order for you to do so, you have to register. You have instructions on how to register, and you also have instructions on why our community deserves to be together. Albert and so many of us that are here are going to be testifying, and we want that number. 5 people testifying is better than 0. But imagine 15 and 20, 30 of us showing up. Now that is community power.
I agree, and Albert is right in that once you finish registering to testify, you've got to register, you can't show up. But you could literally go with the map and say, "We want this map," right? You could literally do that, literally. And that's all they need. If they get 30 pieces of the same paper, that's awesome. And you know, we can make this happen as a community. And when we make it happen, we'll have I think we should have a celebration right here. What do y'all think?
Oh yeah.
And that's where we're gonna have the party. We're gonna invite some folks to perform.
And then we'll have the dancing and the singing. That.
You think Terry will come?
I think he will. You should come.
So
Yeah.
I hear Tasa. maybe we should bring Tasa to your college. And every one of us that testify, we beat a drum.
I
Can
think
you
that's
imagine?
I think that'd be a little disruptive. But hey.
Oh, I like
I know you like disruption.
I like good
Okay,
disruption.
okay. I like disruption too, so it's all
Good trouble, good trouble.
Beam.
Okay, so anyone else would like to share why you care about redistricting? Do we have any business owners here?
Yes.
No business owners?
Paul. Real estate.
Or even if you don't want to talk about why we care about redistricting, what do you think, based on everything we just discussed, what do you think would change in our community if we're kept whole? What opportunities would we get? I know a lot of you are disgruntled. I think a lot of people in our community are disgruntled with the political system. That's why we don't get involved, because we don't think it works for us, right? So, what do you think? What opportunities could be reflected in the community? I know Albert, again, I'm shouting you out again. Albert's getting a lot of shout outs tonight. We talked about Sherry and her food pantry, right? Sherry does food pantries every week, cold or hot. And the reality is we don't get a lot of resources in our community. We, as organizers, we gotta fight to just figure out how we're gonna get food pantries running. We gotta go ask businesses up and down Liberty Avenue if they can donate and they're already struggling as it is, right? Right, they're already struggling as it is. When we talk about things like sanitation as well, we look at the fact that we ourselves, I know South Queens Women's March, we organized a cleanup on Liberty Avenue because we couldn't take it anymore. We're like, we gotta clean it up ourselves. But we need the resources. We gotta bring the resources here in our community. But anyway, I answered the question. But if you all have any answers to what opportunities do you think would exist, Jared?
So Jerry raised a great point that I actually pointed out in my last testimony. How many of you know where your your elected official office is? Just raise your hand if you know. If you have an issue and you need to go knock on your elected official's door, how many of you know where that is? Where is yours?
We don't have any.
Oh, just tell us where it is. In Brooklyn. Well, Aaron. Fresh Meadows.
That's not part of this,
Rochdale Village.
Rochdale Village. Now, no one said Richmond Hill.
Correct.
No one said Liberty Avenue. You can walk Liberty Avenue from Sybil's all the way to, I think they have a new.
Yeah, but that's behind the federal home. David is behind the federal home.
In terms of Liberty Avenue, we cannot find an elected official's office. But Richard David is right. David Weapons' office is on Atlantic Avenue.
Khalil also has one in Rockaway Boulevard.
And Khalil has one in Rockaway Boulevard. But these are new. These are literally new within the past couple years, right? And to bring this issue home, how many of you know someone that passed away from COVID? Just raise your hand. How many of those folks live in our community? All the hands, right? I remember with Aminta and Richard and Jaga and so many community leaders, we were on weekly calls with the mayor's office to get a testing site in Richmond Hill. We were the last community to get a testing site in Richmond Hill. The very last community. And in 2020, particularly in October going into December, right when we were celebrating Diwali, we had the highest COVID-19 positivity rate in New York City. Zip code 11419. And you know why that was? Because we had no access to resources. We couldn't find a testing center. We couldn't get resources to test ourselves. Our community was living in fear and didn't have information. We couldn't even find a COVID test or vaccination at that point. And imagine, thousands of us live in this community. Thousands of us work, pay our taxes. Business owners, businesses were closed. And why is that? At the time, we had 7 assembly members fighting for resources. And each one of them had a small part of Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park. Did you think they all fought for us equally?
No.
Our family died, right? Our community members died. They did not fight for us equally. Richard?
I meant for you to finish, but I did want to say something if there's still time.
Sure.
Over in front.
Good night, everyone. My name is Richard David. If you don't know me, I had the opportunity, like Albert, to testify 10 years ago in this redistricting. And I want to build on a point Aminta and Mohammed made about having political offices here in our neighborhood. Not only do we not have political offices here, we don't actually have elected officials who live here. Imagine having an elected official who lives in Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park. That would mean they're going to stand with you online at Sing's Roti Shop because you know that line is long. It means that you might see them at Chase Bank, and all that garbage that blows up on the street, they're probably going to care a little bit more about it if their kids are with them. They might actually care about that school that you have to go and vote at, and you take your kids to go to. They might care just a little bit more if their kids have to go there or they have to go there. My family came here in 1991. And since then, we have never had an elected official who actually lives in Richmond Hill and in South Ozone. Imagine if we didn't just have elected officials who visited us, that they were here with us. That's how it should be. I really want to applaud these organizations, though, for being prepared, giving us all the materials we need and educating us so that we can go out there and put our best foot forward. I'm so proud to be a part of this community and share space with them because they're always trying to put the best out there. And that's how we're going to win this fight, by never giving up and by being prepared. So thank you, and thank you for doing everything you can to see that we win this fight, and we will win.
Thank you, Richard.
So I have something to say about what Richard said too, and thank you, Richard, and thank you for all your hard work over the years. I remember I was a young organizer 10 years ago, and it was the first time I ever got involved.
You're so young.
I'm still young. Nobody knows my age. But I was a young organizer, and I was sort of in awe. I remember we were gathering just down the block at a real estate office. I think it was Crossroads Realty. I could be wrong.
No, I think it's
It was
Travis.
Crossroads. And it was dark in there, and I remember Jerry Guatemala and John Albert presenting on these big maps and talking with us. And it was, sometimes we can't get on the same page as a community. That's okay. Healthy argument is totally fine, as long as it's healthy and it's for a cause. And eventually we all came together and we testified before LATFord. It was the first time that I experienced anything like that as a community. And I'm just so proud of how far I'm honestly moved to I was looking around and I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful after all these years, and we're still at it. We're still trying, and we're almost there, and so we got to keep it up. But when you think about the fact that electeds don't live in our neighborhoods, right? And they show up acting as if they live in our neighborhoods. They only come to our houses of worship when it's election time, and they act like they care about us, and we celebrate them. That's the thing that gets me so. I mean, I'm not trying to get in trouble here, right? But and I'm not trying to get political or anything like that. But this issue is political, and we gotta hold our elected officials accountable. We can't just embrace them and celebrate them and award them and mala them or however we revere them in our houses of worship when they're not really doing much for us. We can't be doing that. We have to be smarter as people. We've got to hold them accountable, and they've got to respect our issues. You can't just, they say all skin folk is not kinfolk, right?
Right.
Just because they look like us doesn't mean they serve our interests. That's another thing we gotta be mindful of as we. I know I'm going on very murky waters here. I'm
Preach,
sorry.
sister, preach.
I'm gonna end.
Okay. But I'm just saying, we really have to hold our elected officials accountable when they show up in our communities. We gotta make sure that they work for us because that's what they're there for. We don't gotta work for them and get oh my god, this person's coming visit my Monday or this Sunday. I gotta do this and this to celebrate them. They gotta come there. You gotta come straight with us and tell us what they're doing for us, right? So this conversation transcends, but it's important, and I want us to remember that as we go forward and live our lives and go worship and celebrate our festivals. We've got to be mindful of that, and this is why this fight is so important.
Thank you, Aminta. One of the things that's also important in our community is housing rights, right? A few weeks ago, I was able to join Drum, and we were able to go and support one of their members, Nahar, who is currently being impacted by housing discrimination. And I stood there and I witnessed this brave woman speaking out about having her lights turned on and having her heat turned off. I'm sorry, lights turned off, heat turned off. In front of her house. That is what power looks like in our community. And we know that landlords in Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park are harassing their tenants, but our community members are afraid to speak up. But as I said earlier, we are no longer invisible. We will take to the streets of Richmond Hill to make sure that we get justice for our community. And this issue is political. Our lives in this community matter. The resources that we get matter, and it should not be diluted. Just like our vote, our voices should not be diluted. And at the assembly level, for the first time, we have the opportunity to get a district that represents all of us. So we have about 5 minutes. I know our program is scheduled to end at 8. But I just want to say that Aminta is right when this issue is emotional, because I remember February, I think it was the ending of January or February, when we were in front of 250 Broadway. It was cold. And we were out there protesting because the elected officials, they were not going to call a public hearing on their maps. And at that time, Richmond Hill was divided into 7 districts, and it went to 4. And we are still divided, y'all. We're still divided into 4 districts. Depending on where you walk in Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park, you have to either contact Khalil Anderson's office, you have to contact Jennifer Rajkumar's office, you have to contact Stacy Perfumaro's office, you have to contact David Weapron's office. And these are the people that have the power right now to pass bills like good cause eviction to protect us community members. These are the folks that have the power to make sure our Diwali holiday gets passed. These are the people that can pass issues and bills like New York for All that protects immigrants and bring immigration resources to our community. But you don't hear these issues in our community because we don't have a single assembly member that is fighting for all of us. We don't have a single assembly member that is coming to our mandirs, our gurdwaras, our mosques, our places of worship, walking Liberty Avenue, visiting businesses, saying to them, how can I support you? It's been 3 years of a pandemic. Your business struggled. How can I support you? I see elected officials walking the streets of Brooklyn, walking the streets of Flushing, walking the streets of Chinatown, visiting small businesses all the time. We don't have that in Richmond. Think about our faith community. Our faith community can access resources at the state level to protect your place of worship. Think about if you had access to cameras to know when someone comes and vandalizes one of your murtis in front of your place of worship. Imagine having that type of infrastructure that you could protect your place of worship. Who do you go to for that? You go to your assembly members. But when there is a hate crime in our community, we have seen a significant increase in anti-Sikh hate crime. And I want to be very specific. It is anti-Sikh hate crime we're seeing in our community. Elected officials want to show up, have a press conference, but there's no community-driven solution about this issue. But we are the solution to that issue. We can educate each other, we can keep each other safe while holding those in power accountable.
gonna say, show me what community looks like, and you're gonna say, this is what community looks like. Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Thank you all.
Alright, so we're gonna wrap up. If you have any questions, again, we want you to testify. Jerry is here. Jerry's still here? Please contact Jerry if you want to sign up to be a plaintiff, particularly for New York City redistricting. Jerry needs folks, and his colleague is also here. But for us, we'll make sure that you come out and testify February 16.
Can we just do a check on, I know CEP and South Queens Women's March, you all collected the names of the people who signed up to testify or will be signing up to testify. I just want to get a sense of how many people that was. So, can you all tell us how many respectively are on your sheets? Because we do want to follow up with you all. 11 on the CEP sheet or on both? Both. Alright, so 11 people. We could do better than that. Before we leave, hopefully we can get, and Drum also has a sheet, so 12 plus 11? So 22. Alright, that's awesome. Let's give ourselves a round of applause.
And did we miss anyone? Does anyone want to testify and you need support? We can help you draft your testimony. Did we miss anyone? No. Okay, great. Before we close, I want to give a special shout out to my Caribbean Equality Project family, all of our volunteers that have been here since 4 o'clock, setting up, working to make sure the space looks the way it does. And I also want to give a special shout out to Aminta, my movement sibling.
Woo. And I want to give a shout out to my Muhammad Q. Amin for being foot to foot and being a soldier in this journey together and for always staying committed and taking up that space. Because we have to keep doing this as a community.
That's right. And lastly, all of you, I want to give yourselves a round of applause one more time for being here. And if someone asks you how you spent your Thursday night, tell them I went to Richmond Hill and I learned about redistricting, and I'm going to testify to keep our community together. Thank you so much, everyone!